complicated.
I've had times in life where I've been bedridden for years at a time. My neurological system went wonky. Lights were too bright, sounds were too loud, crippling head pain. I've also had heart problems and arrhythmias and heart surgeries.
You can see why she's petrified by the thought of an adverse reaction, any reaction really, to the COVID vaccine. She's not anti-vax or anti-science, but for her, the question marks are paralyzing.
The idea of possibly setting myself back is terrifying to me.
In the last several weeks, the worlds of the unvaccinated have gotten smaller. If you work at Air Canada, LCBO, the big banks, if you want to attend university, live in residence, go see a Jays game, in some provinces even eat at a restaurant or go to a gym, you'll often either need proof of vaccination or an exemption. And you get one of those from a guy like this. Dr. Jason Perfetto is a family physician in Hamilton, Ontario. So how often are you getting these requests exactly?
The requests and inquiries about exemption notes and letters, we're talking about dozens per morning or hundreds per week.
He very much wants to help, but Dr. Perfetto tells us he hasn't issued any exemptions, not a single one, and he doesn't know any doctor who has.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, how are you doing? It's been really nice having you on speed dial, Dr. Chagla.
No, it's good. This exemption piece is something a lot of groups are struggling with. And for the vast majority of people, they don't actually fit that medical exemption category.
What are you telling me? That a cancer patient, eligible or not eligible for a medical exemption?
Not eligible for medical exemption. And in fact, should be at the top of the list to get vaccinated.
Someone with an autoimmune disease, would they be eligible for an exemption?
No, they would, again, not be exempt. There's no evidence that vaccines set off autoimmune conditions. And so, again, they would be on the top of the list because they're the highest risk of complications.
Someone with heart complications, cardiac issues, exemption or no exemption?
Yeah, as long as they're in good shape, they're not having an acute cardiac issue, they, again, can very much get a vaccine.
But we know some Canadians have been able to get medical exemptions. What about a vaccine allergy, specifically to a compound called PEG? We're talking about polyethylene glycol, which you can find specifically in the mRNA vaccines. Is this a common allergy? Can it lead to a severe reaction if you get these vaccines?
Yeah, so PEG is a really common compound in our environment.
Here's what Dr. Chagla means. Polyethylene glycol, or PEG, is in all of these things, from creams to conditioners, laxatives, Tylenol, cosmetics. And even if you did have a true PEG allergy, you wouldn't even necessarily react to the vaccine, and most people are usually just fine under supervision.
That allergy, even though it's really documented, is rare. And again, the odds of being anaphylactic to it are rare. And on top of that, the odds of being anaphylactic to the vaccine is even rarer.
But if I'm understanding you correctly, if we're only talking about, let's say, first vaccine doses, is there any known medical condition that would absolutely prevent someone from getting the COVID vaccine?
No, again, not to my knowledge. There's very little on that first dose that is an exemption to vaccination.
But that doesn't make life any easier for family doctors, because for those on the front line, it's rarely just about the science. You're also trying to think of the human being, and you're trying to inject some compassion into your decision as well. Is that fair to say?
In a world of black and white, I work in the gray. We need to use science. We need to use medical evidence. We need to trust our experts. We have to. And at the same time, we need to come down to earth. We need to be sensitive and understanding of individuals' differences and opinions and proceed in the most appropriate manner that we can.
So where does that leave someone like Lee? It gets even more complicated because not only is there no national standard, who's exempt, who's not, there isn't even consensus on whether medical exemptions should be allowed at all.
We're all in this whirlwind of information that seems to be changing daily.
Where she lives under BC's new vaccine passport system, there are no exemptions. But if she lived in Ontario or Quebec, a note from her doctor would make all the difference.
So I suppose I just have to wait and see what happens.